All right, it's the second hour of the Elias Mackos Show, and all week long on this program, it's Big O Week. Think of Shark Week on Discovery Channel, but way scarier. Now, we're taking a look at this structure. Simply put, we're putting the Big O on trial. The stadium was built for the 1976 Olympics. It was not finished in time. The Expos moved in the following year and played in an open-air stadium until 1987, when the Big O's supposedly retractable roof was installed. It was retracted for the first time a couple of years later in 1989 and immediately had issues. The fabric Kevlar roof ended up being prone to tearing. Within years, it stopped functioning. The roof was eventually replaced with a permanent structure. Baseball left in 2004. The Alouettes abandoned the stadium for the greener pastures of McGill, and it is a rare occasion that the playing surface at the Big O is used for a major sporting event. The Quebec government has spent decades trying to figure out what to do with the stadium, and last week, the latest in the saga. Faced with the fact that construction firms do not want to touch the roof replacement project, the Olympic Park has now contracted two firms to come up with a plan to replace the roof and the technical ring, one of the key structural elements that support the building. Today, for our Big O Week, we head straight to the top, and we speak to a man that ran the Olympic Installations Board. David Heurtel, you know him well, ran the Olympic Installations Board from 2011 to 2013. Correct me if I'm wrong, David. That's when you ran the place?
That's correct, Elias. Good morning.
Good morning to you. So, from your perspective, David, what should we do with Olympic Stadium?
Well, the Olympic Stadium itself, in terms of what it means to the city today, yes, you went down its troubled path, and we could go on even longer. But today, we have to understand that it is a symbol internationally for Montreal. It is, for Montreal, the same thing as the Eiffel Tower is to Paris. And that's very important. And the tower has become a very, very profitable tourist attraction. There is the Institut National du Sport, which is there. There's a major sports center in the tower, office buildings rented out by Desjardins. And the rest of the Olympic Park is actually thriving.
So can we just
it's working?
Can we just talk about that? Because I've always been able to separate these things. So when I say because I'm someone that believes the stadium should be demolished, but I'm separating the bowl stadium with the tower. Okay. The tower can stay. The tower the tower has tenants. The tower is a tourist attraction. The tower is a part of the skyline. I think the stadium needs to go because it's not used. Nobody wants to use that playing surface anymore, right? So,
I understand what you're saying there, and factually, you're right. Now there are several issues there. There are several questions. One thing you started off with your intro about the roof. Now the roof is a disaster, and I don't believe there should be a roof. I don't believe we should be spending $500 million on a concept that has not been proven. I don't want to get too technical, but there are no stadiums in the world, Elias, which spread out the weight of its roof on two different structures. And with this one, on top of that, it's the tower that supports 60% of that. And so it makes no sense because, as you know, Elias, no stadium will make money without a permanent sports tenant. And as you said again, no such tenant exists or will exist for the Olympic Stadium. So I would say take out the roof, but physically speaking and financially speaking, it cannot be done. You cannot destroy the stadium and keep the tower. They are technically and engineeringly speaking completely meshed together.
So
and I just want another element. When I was CEO, I did a study to demolish, and I commissioned a study, an independent study, and you can't just blow it up because blowing it up, Elias, as we've seen other stadiums around the world, we would destroy the metro, which runs underneath it. And also, because of the technique that was used to build it, which is a very complex technique with concrete, it would actually slingshot the concrete and pieces would actually get to Longueuil. This is how bad it would be.
The dust.
So
you're talking about the dust?
No, I'm talking about blocks of concrete. I'm talking, it would have a slingshot effect because the way the concrete was set up with this engineering technique, it's under tension. And so blowing it up would have a slingshot effect that would send blocks of concrete across the St. Lawrence.
Okay, so
in and around Montreal.
But
so
a demolition,
it would take 5 years and cost $700 million.
Now, but a demolition doesn't have to press one red button and boom, kabooey.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You could
deconstructing it would cost $700 million and take 5 years.
Okay, so on that number, right? Because I've heard that, right? It's $700 million, and you say you did a study. I would imagine. I don't expect the Olympic Installations Board to do a study on demolition and for them to come out, oh, look, we should demolish the place. Like, I mean, the Olympic Installations Board is going to stand up for its raison d'etre, right? But the thing is, okay, let's say it's $700 million. Okay, let's say that's the cost. Let me give you that number, even though I've spoken to demolition companies that have told me Controlled Demolition Inc., which is a worldwide record holder in so many levels on demolitions, they've told me $700 million is not an accurate number. They say it's much less. But I'll give you the $700 million. Okay. Wouldn't that still be cheaper than what's going to be proposed here? Roof replacement, technical ring, fix all the seats, get a new scoreboard, fix all the sound. Apparently to get this structure up to snuff would cost billions with no guarantee of success. So is it, even if it's $700 million to demolish it in a way that won't blow up Longueuil, right? Even if you demolish it the right way and it's $700 million, isn't that the right thing to do instead of spending $2 billion to make the stadium maybe useful?
I disagree. I think you can take out the roof for about $60 to $80 million. And with that also make the stadium viable during the winter months, just like it was, as you said, the first 11 years of its existence. And then you use the space for, yes, once in a while sporting events like the Grey Cup, which we can't have right now because of the status of the roof. You could have major, for example, Lionel Messi. When Messi's going to come with Miami to play the Impact, it's not going to be at Saputo Stadium. It's going to be at the Olympic Stadium, just like when Beckham was playing with the LA Galaxy. We did the games at the Big O.
Yes.
We didn't do them at Saputo Stadium.
Yes.
So you're going to have some once in a while major sporting events. You can also convert. There are huge spaces that can be rented out to TV and film production companies. You can do more. You can think outside the box and actually do more to generate revenues. But what's under the stadium itself.
But David, don't all of those plans to do more, and I've heard, because sometimes they say, well, the Olympic Stadium, the Olympic Park is used 350 days of the year, right? And it's for little tiny events, film production, that'll bring in a few $100,000. We're talking about hundreds of billions, right? So I just don't see how the math ever makes sense when you could do other things with the money, like build a new stadium. But you could build a new football, soccer stadium and a new baseball stadium for way less. David?
Well, you talk about the hundreds of millions of dollars. That the bulk of that cost is in a roof. That's not in the upkeep and maintaining of the actual stadium. What's the big cost here is putting on these roofs that don't work because their technique, the way that it just doesn't work. And so if you take away that spend, you're talking about reasonable maintaining of a structure that, again, is not only about economic viability, but also it's about what it means to Montreal. It is now an international symbol for us. The park has turned things around. It draws more than 4 million visitors a year. It is part of our makeup. It's part of our DNA. Yes, troubled past, but at the same time, I think if we don't spend hundreds and close to $1 billion on a new roof, which makes no sense financially and has no added value symbolically. I think we can then look at what we can do outside the box with the stadium structure to make it more economically viable.
David, thank you for your defense of the Olympic Stadium. I think this week we'll need a little bit of that as we put this structure on trial, and it's great to hear from the defense on today.
All right, take care.
David, thanks so much. That's David Heurtel, ran Olympic Stadium, former CEO of the Olympic Installations Board from 2011 to 2013.